One of the main benefits that I'm receiving from a carnivore diet is that I lost almost 14 pounds in less than a month while eating as much food as my stomach desires. But this benefit came at a cost. I'm suffering from consistent, debilitating leg cramps, and I feel equally as debilitated when I try to get out of bed in the morning. It's becoming pretty clear that something is missing from my diet. Adjusting my sodium intake and increasing my fat consumption are two of the main suggestions that I'm receiving for solving these problems. Before I can adjust these levels, I first need to know what they're currently at, which is why this week's mission was to start tracking what I'm eating. I'm using a kitchen scale to weigh my food and logging it in MyFitnessPal, which is pretty annoying because I also have to weigh how much salt and fat I'm using to cook every meal. Weighing your food every single day is not something that's fun to do. To make this tracking a bit easier, I'm weighing the salt and the fat at the beginning of each day, entering the totals into the app, adding to this number if I need more, and subtracting whatever's remaining at the end of the day. Last week I tried intermittent fasting because I thought that eating late at night might be causing me to wake up feeling bloated, leading to my low energy levels in the morning. Intermittent fasting did stop me from eating food late at night, but it did nothing to help my energy levels in the morning. So on the first day of this week, I tried eating a steak after 10 p.m. Today's the first day without intermittent fasting, and I feel better than I have in weeks. Woke up this morning, energy feels great. Stomach doesn't feel full of grease. I was also surprised to look at my phone and realize that it's 4:30 a.m. So let's get after it. Lesson number one, I don't think that I was eating enough food because if I wasn't tracking what I was eating, I don't know that I would have ate that other steak at the end of the day. I'm definitely thinking that the culprit for this low energy levels is just the amount of food that I've been eating. Way too early to be making any kind of definitive conclusion. Losing 14 pounds in a month is a pretty clear indication that I'm not eating enough food to maintain my weight, which might also explain why I have such low energy. I think I must have increased my caloric intake since doing this because the fat that I'm consuming is so calorically dense. And even with that, I was still consuming much less than the 4,000 calorie maintenance level that I was prescribed at the beginning of this diet. So now that I know how much food I'm eating, it means that I can eat even more, which is great because I'm a glutton and I love to eat, even when I'm not hungry. And now this food tracking is letting me know that I can actually do that guilt-free. The carnivore diet is very satiating for me. So even though I might not be eating enough calories, I don't feel hungry. Or maybe I am hungry and just feel like a pig eating a steak, 5 eggs, 2 pieces of pork belly, and a quarter pound of beef fat in one sitting. But if that's what I gotta do, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Thank you, True Local, for supplying me with all this delicious meat delivered straight to my door. If you guys want to get some healthy, locally raised animal products, check out truelocal.ca. We woke up again this morning feeling better than I have in a while. Still not back to my full energy levels that I was prior to starting this carnivore diet, but one really interesting thing is that I was tracking my food yesterday, and it turns out that I ate about 5,500 calories. So I thought that I was gonna wake up in the morning and be up a couple pounds on the scale because normally if I consume that quantity of food, I would be gaining some weight. Stepped on the scale this morning, and no change. I thought that eating over 5,500 calories and seeing no change to my weight might be an anomaly, so I continued to eat more food than my appetite would naturally compel me to eat. It's definitely becoming a super big pain to be tracking everything that I'm consuming, including the amount of salt that I'm putting onto my food. But unlike intermittent fasting, I think this pain is worthwhile because I'm learning something very interesting. I'm eating anywhere from 5,000 to 5,500 calories a day, and my weight is completely stable. Despite intentionally increasing my calorie intake, my body weight didn't change until after 3 consecutive days of eating more than 4,600 calories. Still surprised by the results to some degree. I'm starting to get curious about whether or not the food that I'm inputting into the MyFitnessPal app is actually accurately represented within the app. About 2 weeks ago, I started eating beef fat because it's free and tastes delicious and helps increase fat and calorie intake. This food wasn't in MyFitnessPal, so I started tracking it at 9 calories per gram because every gram of fat has 9 calories in it. There might be some moisture in here that I'm not accounting for, which would be leading to more calories in my daily tracking than I'm actually consuming, but I'm going to be making adjustments to my fat and calorie consumption with this same beef fat, so even if the total is off, the tracking should remain consistent. Over the course of the week, I averaged 4,134 calories per day. Around 79% of these calories came from fat, averaging around 365 grams of fat per day. And my average daily sodium intake was 11,200 milligrams. The reason that I started tracking my food was to learn what my sodium and fat intake were at so that I could adjust those and see if it affects my cramping and energy levels. Turns out that my fat consumption is up 23% from where it was at while I was tracking during the first weeks, and my sodium intake is almost 5 times as much as Heart.org's maximum daily recommendation. I've never been good at listening to authority, but 5 times the maximum recommended daily allowance makes me think that the salt content might not be the main issue. Gaining 2.9 pounds and feeling a somewhat subjective increase in my energy levels makes me think that not eating enough food is the real culprit for these concerns. So before further adjusting my fat and sodium intake, I'm going to first find out if eating more calories can address this issue, which is why next week's mission is to continue tracking my food, eating 4,000 calories per day to determine how that affects my energy and cramping. If I eat more calories, then I'll naturally be consuming more fat and more sodium, as well as every other micronutrient that my food contains. If there still aren't any changes after another week, then I'll start adjusting the sodium intake to see if that can resolve my cramping. And yeah, I'm eating 5 times as much as what Heart.org recommends as your maximum daily allowance, but I'm willing to sacrifice my heart to save my legs. If you guys have any other suggestions for how to increase my energy or reduce my cramping without taking any supplements, then let me know in the comments below. I have one other theory on why my energy levels might be depleting, and that has to do with the level of social interaction that I've been having since starting this diet, and especially since the beginning of this quarantine. So starting this week, I'm going to do a live stream every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll try to get some interesting guests that I can have interactions with. I'm also going to look more into this topic of social interaction and personal energy to learn if there is any potential correlation there. If you want to learn more, then subscribe to this channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'm looking forward to continuing sharing this journey with all of you.